Please welcome CBI Indonesia.
Hello, good morning, colleagues. So in this session, I'll be the moderator to discuss about the DRR. So for the first speaker, please allow me to call the Miss Florian Rizaneri to the stage. She is the local network coordination specialist at the CBI. And then the second one is the Miss Ana Katrina Aspuria. She is the unit head of development program and innovation at PDRF. And then the third one, Mr. Abdul Malik. Yeah, he is the local network specialist, CBI. Shall I sit here? Or maybe? Okay, so, apologize. Yeah, okay, so for the session, maybe I will give the opportunity to the Riza to give the introduction about this one. So I think Riza, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bang Taufik. Salamat pagi everyone. Good morning and good morning to the second day of the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction and to the House of Resilience. My name is Riza and I am the Local Network Coordination Specialist of the Connecting Business Initiative, or CBI, which is a program by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. So what we're doing, we are supporting private sector when it comes to how they work with the government, with the communities, in emergency preparedness, response, and recovery. And right now, we have 13 business networks or member networks all around the world, and one of which is the private sector in Indonesia, represented by the Kamardagang Dan Industri Indonesia, or the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So for today, I think we're going to talk a lot about how the private sector engages when it comes to emergency preparedness, response, and recovery. But that's it for now.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction, Riza. So I think for the second, I will give the time for Bang Abdul Malik to give the a little bit introduction about the DRR agenda, fail or stagnant. So Bang Malik, time is yours now.
Okay. Thank you, Taufik. I think I already provide a slide if we can show it up. So the purpose of this, the subject is about the failure or stagnant agenda is really to see how the government outreach the message regarding on the what we call in Indonesia PRB, pengurangan resiko bencana or disaster risk reduction. And this survey was conducted to showcase what's been happening actually from last year until 2 months before the TRR. And it was conducted by me and some of our volunteering colleagues from the academia, just to take some sampling actually, around 100 participants who has their business around the river of Ciliwung, and also who has a business on the nearby beach, the upper of North Jakarta. So the finding was quite interesting. If we may go to the second slide is that does this agenda that has been carried out by the government are really outreach them? So from this survey that we conduct, we took sampling around hundreds, and 70 of them were women, and 40 were around micro, very micro, small, where their revenue is a month around $200 or to $300. It's a very micro one. And the small one is around, the revenue in the month is around let's say about 5 to 10, and the medium is upper more than 20 million of rupiah in Indonesia. And we were asking to them whether they really understand the threat and knowing what's the threat of disaster, and mostly of them completed, say 100%, they do know and understand the threat of disaster. But hearing about and understanding about the DRR program, mostly around 93. But the thing is that they don't understand. There's this level of understanding, the level of conscience, science. So they know, but they don't understand. They understand, but they are not able to act. They are able to act, but not able to coordinate. So there are a level of steppings that we seek, and this number we took estimate around all those average. Mostly of them they know, but they don't understand, and they understand but could not react or plan for it. So would they like to proactive or involve in the DRR program that is made by the government or any by the national non-government organization or civil society? They say 50% would like, because it costs about their times. Timing is something for them. So for us, from the non-governments, we should be more proactive and creative in innovating to introduce how their involvement in the DRR agenda or program. And the thing is that from the government side, they don't have this really interactive map to measure who really understand regarding on the DRR. So when we consulted with the local authority of disaster agency, they realized, they understood that it should have something to be measured, because if not, then how can we say that everyone understand and know the threat? So this is something to be more discussed with the authorities from our side. And lastly, it's interesting that they would like to do for something like BCP, for business continuity or business contingency planning, because they never heard before. This is something strange actually. We are talking about DRR, but for the small, for the micro, small, medium enterprise, they don't really understand what is BCP, but they're willing to interesting. And the thing is that why only 50%? If it come with a cost, they won't involve. Now, how can we push them to have this BCP work plan on their mainstreaming or their work systems? One of the thing is should come from the regulations. If there is a regulation, then they will feel obligated to fulfill in that. Now, the government are pushing on that, and we are trying to assist from that side. So this is the small mini survey that we had conduct, and I think we can discuss more. I'll hand over to the moderator back. Thank you, Taufik.
Yeah, thank you, Bang Malik. Very interesting, the finding itself. So we can move to the third speaker, I think, like for Strina. How do you think? I mean, like, I will give you the opportunity to maybe reflect related to your experience at the PDRF. So I think the time is yours.
Get some mic. Thank you for the very insightful information on the study. And good morning to everyone. Thank you for having PDRF again in today's session. What I can share from the organization in terms of failures, or should I say challenges, is that when we started also in 2009, the organization was really on its reactive mode. So it's mostly just on resource mobilization and reacting to hazards, to shocks, and utilizing the resources of the private sector to deliver aid whenever it's requested. But 5 years after that, PDRF also had its turning point for it to be more proactive than reactive. So when we say that the organization has been shifting to being proactive, it's now looking at strategic ways on how to improve its service delivery. And how can it continue operations when there are multiple shocks. As mentioned, BC is one key component, and for PDRF, it takes its BCP very seriously because we have about 100 of members under our network. So we want to make sure that we can also live up to our agenda of providing support as we are the country's major private sector coordinator in DRM. And then soon after that, being proactive is just one way to be sustainable. But as a big organization or as a big network, we also need to find ways to move beyond plateauing. Because I think it's normal for any organization to plateau. In life, we plateau. In organizations, in big networks, there is a tendency also to plateau and settle that, okay, we're already sustainable. But for the organization, we took that as a challenge, not really as a failure, but as a challenge to see beyond like what else can we do in terms of sustainability. From being a donor-dependent organization, what are the key programs that we can develop based on the strengths of the private sector that will help us to be self-sustainable? So that's when we launched the DRR Prep Lab or Preparedness Laboratory. It's a learning and development arm of the organization which provides capacity development, not only for private sector members of the organization, but also to government partners and local communities. So it's one thing that we also provide now service-related activities to our partners. So that's another challenge for us, like how can we innovate afterwards? Because times are changing. For example, COVID-19 happened and most of the training that we conduct was face-to-face. So we also shifted to a digital approach in terms of delivering our courses. So we developed, through the support of CBI, the platform for MSMEs, so that's one. This is a one-stop recovery hub where we provide mentorship to MSMEs. And it's not limited to just MSMEs. We also provide mentorship to youth, to women. A topic that we usually cater is on digital transformation for small, micro businesses. And with the support of New Zealand Aid, we were also able to develop our learning hub, which is, forgot the name of our learning hub. But yeah, I'll pick it up later. iAdapt. Thank you, Riza. So yeah, iAdapt is our sort of online school for our partners. All the courses are free. It's iadapt.pdrf.org. Feel free to check it out. So those are the challenges and how we approached it. 2018 and moving forward, the focus now is really geared towards a more sustainable, self-sustaining, strategic organization. So that's a bigger discussion that comes with bigger challenges on a day-to-day basis, but the organization remains committed to innovating its program so that it could play a role or play a bigger role in the DRM space. Thank you.
Wow. So thank you for the explanation about the experience from the PDRF. So I think, Riza, it will be good. The first one, we get the finding from the Indonesia and then from the PDRF. So I think it will be good if we also hear about what the broader aspect from the CBI network itself. So I think time is yours now.
Sure. Now, this is interesting. Now, before I move to a broader perspective of reflections on what are the challenges, the different lessons learned of business networks, I wanted to also zero in on the findings that Bang Malik showed, that when we talk about working with the private sector, it has to be very, very practical and easy to understand, and most especially when we talk about small businesses. So the findings, you said here, 90% are interested to learn about business continuity planning or disaster management, but actually, based on what our member networks have seen, and also recent studies on the uptake of business continuity planning and disaster management for MSMEs, and I think this was based on a study conducted by the UNDRR. More than 70% still do not have business continuity plans. And it's basically because micro, small, medium enterprises simply do not have the time, resources, and capabilities to talk about or actually implement a business continuity plan. And I always say that the BCP is not a magic pill. Once you even have a BCP, it's there, but then the real work happens when you actually implement it, and you would need resources. So from that concern that we normally hear from a firm level perspective, we hear those reflections from different member networks, like in the Philippines, in Sri Lanka, in Vanuatu, in Turkey. So most of our business networks or CBI member networks are focusing on very practical solutions that will cater to the needs of their MSME members, clients, and partners. For example, the member network in the CBI member network in Sri Lanka, the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management, they conducted a series of business continuity planning training for MSMEs in the southern province of the country. Given that what's happening in Sri Lanka right now with the economic emergency situation affecting one of their most critical sectors, the tourism sector, so they wanted to help the small local businesses, not just by providing or teaching them what to do for when it comes to preparing, responding, and recovering from monsoons or cyclones, but they also taught them how to diversify their business practices and provided livelihood starter kits. So that at the end of the training, they get to learn about what to do before, during, and after a disaster, but at the same time, they actually have the equipment to help their businesses diversify their practices. Equipment like sewing machines, basic equipment like materials that they need. So very practical concerns that they included after the training. And last thing, before I hand it over again to you, I also want to reiterate what our member, a CBI member network in Turkey, the Turkish Federation for Enterprises and Businesses that have access to more than 50,000 MSMEs in Turkey. The focal there said, when you talk to small businesses, you have to make it very practical and simple. Terms like disaster management, what does it mean for small businesses? What does it mean when you say business continuation or continuity planning for micro, small, medium enterprises that are normally focused on day-to-day operations? So I think those are the lessons learned, but at the same time, those are opportunities to improve on how we can work with the private sector.
Okay, thank you, Riza, for the explanation. So, Bang Malik and Trina, do you have any comment about the explanation from Riza?
Thank you. So I think we are aligned with what Riza mentioned in terms of everything being practical. And I think this is also being raised in majority of the discussions when it comes to not only the MSME discussion or the BCP discussion, but generally any technical discussion revolving around, for example, response, recovery, rehabilitation, economic recovery, all of those topics that there should be a simplified version, or at least it should be simplified for your end users. It should be, so for example, for PDRF, what we do is really we develop it based on the needs of each of our partner, for each of our groups that request support from us. So the first step is really having that learning needs assessment, because we understand that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, especially when it comes to learning. And then another step that we do as well is going back after a certain period of time and understanding the knowledge, attitudes, and practices of our partners in terms of the topics that we have provided them. So I think it also fits well into the study that Bang Malik mentioned about the practicality, the appropriateness of the topics that we deliver. Because sometimes we think they need it, but that's our perceived notion. But that is not the requested need from them. So we have to strike a balance on understanding what is their need based from their perspective and their practices, rather than providing them with what we think they need. So sometimes they don't need a business continuity plan, but what they need is a contingency plan. So that's something that we can also explain to them, that at this point, maybe this is what you need. And later on, once you've grown and developed, you can improve your strategies in your organization or in your MSME. So those are something that fits well with the practicality and also with the communication on how we deliver our programs. So now I turn it over to Bang Malik for your comments.
Yeah, thank you, Katrina. So from my side is that I do agree what Riza had said and Katrina. Just to complementary, there is what we call a maybe challenging agenda, and one of our partner is with the government actually, and from our side, what we would like to suggest and recommend is to have those interactive map to measure, because if not having those measuring of impacts and measurings of what they had conduct, then we cannot calculate the risk outreach and etc. So the thing is that we really need to work on that side. And yes, of course, for micro, small, they really need those pragmatic approach and durable solutions, because they cannot also do these works or simulations annually, for some time. So that's why they really need something that, okay, if I once done this, it can extends around 2 years, then we'll simulate it again and revise it again, or testing the document and testing simulated training with the staff and etc. etc. Because if it goes for yearly, monthly, it really takes their time actually. So we are trying to find the most pragmatic way for them and something that would be stand more longer on their works. I think that's from my side, Tofik. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bang Malik and Trina. So, do we still have a time? 10 minutes? 8 minutes. So, okay, I think it maybe it will be good if we use the 8 minute for the closing statement. Okay, so Riza, you want to take the first turn?
Sure. Well, first, let me just say congratulations to everyone who have been part of this journey for building this house of resilience. This one happening on the sideline of the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction is actually a reflection of the local actors. I know everyone is busy with their respective booths, but it's a showcase of the actual work and commitment of the different local partners here working with the communities and the people that you serve. So again, congratulations for everyone who have set up their and showcase their respective projects here. And in terms of I guess my message and aspiration for this GPDRR is that we do not lose hope in terms of amidst the different challenges and lessons learned, because I know it's not easy, the work that we do. I mean, the work that you all do, it's not easy. But we do not lose hope and we do not lose sight of the communities, the partners that we work with and that we serve. And that when we talk to different partners, the government, the business community, the humanitarian and development partners, that with that kind of hope and aspiration to continue working together, bringing in that essence of gotong royong, whether at the local, regional, or global level, that we also get to better understand the way, the different approaches, the languages that we speak, and in that sense, would be able to continually work together towards achieving the targets of the Sendai framework and also achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
Thank you, Riza, for the closing statement. So, Trina, I think you go the second turn.
Okay, so that's some gender balance here. I guess I want to agree with Riza and also to piggyback on what she has already mentioned. From the perspective coming from the private sector, it's a good reflection also that there's no one sector that can solve all of humanity's problems. There should be an understanding or a realization that we should all work together. So whether you're from the humanitarian sector, you're from the government, us coming from the private sector, I think we can all find a common ground and really have that communication as mentioned to really develop that joint approach into achieving the agenda. So I think we all have different agendas, but we all wanted to achieve a certain level that, okay, we want to solve climate, we want to make our cities more resilient. So we have to work together to achieve those instead of working in silos. So I think that will also be a pressing challenge for all the different sectors, and how we can operationalize that idea of engagement will be another long discussion, but it's a journey that we should all walk together hand in hand. So there, thank you.
Thank you, Trina. So, Bang Malik, time is yours now.
Yeah, lastly from my side is that the formulation is that the business community multiplied with humanitarian actor plus collaboration action equals to building national resilience. I think that's the answer. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. So, yeah, thank you very much for the all speakers. So, from my side, maybe before we end this discussion, there are some takeaways. The first one, we need to find a common ground together, and then to have the same agenda. And then the second one is the most interesting if you talk about the involvement of private sector in the DRR agenda. If it related to the BCP itself needs to be practical. So I think that's all from my side as a moderator. I'm Taufik Hendarto as the information management specialist at the CBI. I think our discussion now can be ended. So thank you for all your attendance.